Hey, this is Action Jeff. I am recording a 555 Turbo Sit and Go for you guys. I've got an extra space here because there's no way this is going to go very long. So I'm going to try and start another sit and go up. Okay, so let's talk about sit and go strategy. Sit and goes are very, very different from any other form of poker. Any other form of no limit hold'em even. They're just completely different from multi-table tournaments, from cash games, and you really face completely different obstacles, and there are a lot of concepts related. And it's pretty advanced stuff, but I'm going to try and give a summary of what's going on here. So, the key thing in a sit and go is you're not playing to win. You're playing to make the top three. Once you make the top three, you can worry about winning. But the main problem with that is the blinds go up very fast. I did a turbo here because a lot of people just play these and multi-table them, and they still show a really good profit. I think the best player that I know of in these still manages an in the money of over 40%, which is really spectacular. Return on investment over 25% or something ridiculous like that. So, what these turbo sit and goes are, sit and goes in general, but especially turbo, is a game of push-fold. Early on, if you double up, all you're really doing is extending the amount of time until you're in push-fold mode. Because unless a sit and go ends unrealistically early, it almost never happens. At some point, almost everyone at the table is going to have a decision every hand to push all in or to fold. And knowing when to push, who to push on, keeping track of the blinds, this is a 225 here, that kind of thing is very important. So early on, we don't want to risk chips. We don't want to put a lot of chips in with marginal hands. We want to play much, much tighter than we would in a multi-table tournament. The whole idea is to retain my stack and to keep my fold equity as the levels go up, and to just pick good spots and use my tactical knowledge, all my knowledge of all of these strategies, to try and maximize my edge against these opponents. So I might not play a hand until it's 75-150. I'm not going to play mid pairs from early position. When I play a hand from early position, I'm either going to limp in or I'm going to come in with a 3 to 4x raise, and everyone's going to know that I've got something decent. And sometimes I'll limp good hands. Sometimes I'll raise it up with them. And sometimes I'll limp mid pairs early position, just so I can get more and raise them, just so I can get less respect when I play a hand, because I don't want them to just know that I've got a big pair when I raise it up early position. So I'm not even going to put 10 chips in here with King Deuce. It's just a piece of junk hand. So in a normal MTT, you have to understand a lot of the time you're supposed to complete in a small blind because you're supposedly getting odds, right? Well, the thing is, in a sit and go, you really don't want to lose any extra chips. So if I see a flop with a hand that's not going to win a big pot, there's a risk that even if I'm making money chip-wise in the long run, that I'm going to be, making a few chips here and losing a few chips there, and it's not really worth the swing in my stack to lose 200 chips sometimes and win 80 chips other times, because it's really valuable to have those extra chips. And there's a lot of advanced strategy related to the points in the tournament where you really want to push for the extra chips, because you gain a lot of leverage in certain situations when you have a chip stack. So right now it's like I just don't want to lose 200 chips or whatever. That would be really bad for my stack. But in a later level, maybe there will be a certain setup that will make it really, really, really beneficial for me to pick up an extra 1,000 chips or something. It would just give me a huge edge, and everyone is competing for that edge, and you have to be able to recognize these situations. So, as you can see already, the blinds are going to be going up within 1 minute. In 10 minutes after that, we're going to be at 5,100. And it's all about the proper M strategy and push fold. And the really interesting stuff happens later in when we get to the 100, 200 level. And the key point of a sit and go is always the bubble. That's really where the winners are decided. Once you're in push fold mode, after the bubble breaks, there are no other concerns other than whether your push is plus EV or not. There are just none. That's really what matters. Is my push plus EV or is it not? Before the bubble, that's not true. You can be put in situations where, because of the bubble, a push can be, or a call can be massively plus chip EV, chip equity. You're going to be making chips in the long run. But it's actually a really bad play in terms of your expectation in the sit and go. An example would be, well, let's say I've got like, what have we got here? This is a star sit and go, so there's 13,500 chips in play. And we've got 4 people left, and we've got a guy with 2K and another guy with 2K, and I've got like 4K, and the big stack has got like 5,500. And it's passed to the big stack in the small blind at 200, 400, 100, 200 is a better example. And he shoves all in, and I look at ace king. I have to fold. And most people don't understand that. You just cannot call there, because it is a losing play. You're not that big a favorite against their range of hands, and when you lose, you're out. You don't get any money. And the whole point, the only way to maximize your expectation in these sit and goes is to maximize the amount of money that you're going to make, and you don't do that by calling off your stack on the bubble. So conversely, you have situations where you should be pushing all in on people with any 2 cards. You have to recognize sometimes, though, maybe your opponent doesn't understand the situation. Sometimes it's like you wish that they did understand it, because if you should push all in a certain situation and they call all in and it's the wrong call, it's not only bad for them, but it's bad for you, because all of a sudden you've put a whole bunch of chips in the pot without much of a hand. And it's also bad play for them, because they shouldn't be calling all in because of whatever the situation is. So sometimes you have to recognize this guy doesn't care about the bubble, he doesn't know what he's doing, and he's going to make plays like this, and you don't want to risk your stack against a player like that. Okay? So there's nothing really happening here. We're just going to wait and wait and wait, and we're going to see what happens if any interesting situations come up. So here we've got PB Drunks. He's playing pretty loose early on. He's trying to see a lot of flops and stuff. Which is not really normal sit and go strategy, but some players do that, and it's alright as long as you're very careful with how you play hands after the flop. This is key. You can play loose aggressive, but you don't want to play loose aggressive out of position. You just want to play hands and call a lot in position. Let's see what he had there. LP raised 4x, Drunks called in position, and they ended up checking it down, and PB Drunks had 8s. I suppose that's reasonable. There's nothing wrong with a fold in his spot, but he's got some extra chips to work with, so his call is fine. So post-flop poker is not the name of the game. You want to play these pre-flop to make your decisions very easy post-flop. And most of the time, it's not like an MTT where I might recommend making smaller bets after the flop. If I raise and people know that I've normally got a good hand when I raise unless I'm in late position, and I see a flop, I'm going to make a bet, and it's going to be a big bet. And they're going to have to decide what to do against the hands that they think I have, because I'm not going to make the decision easy for them and let them call and outmaneuver me later in the hand. I want the chips in the pot, and I really want them in my stack. So we're gonna, wow, that's a big bet. So we're going to see, as the sit and go goes on, what players make mistakes when we get into the later stages. And we're already seeing some players playing a lot of hands early. I'm familiar with most of the players at this table. I haven't been in these sit and goes in a while, so maybe some of these guys are regulars and I don't know about them. I imagine that this guy isn't, just because no one open limps in these. People do it, but it's not very common. It's not a very good play a lot of the time. I know Winnie Pie's a regular, and in the big MTT, same for Innocent and Mr. Smokey and Sammy Null. I don't want to say who's losing and who's winning money. I've seen the databases. Alright, so I flopped top pair, and that's about it. And I think there are 2 good ways to play this hand. Check and raise Gamboa. And here I've got a flush draw. I'm just going to check this. That's how I'm playing passively. Or to just lead out with a big bet, 60 to 90. I'm just going to go ahead and bet the pot here, and I'll probably just win it. See, I'm not even like taking shots at the pots here. And I get called. I think I'm still ahead of a lot of his hands, but I'm going to be very cautious now. I'm just going to check. I'm going to hope that I can get a showdown. Maybe he limped in with a worse king. Now I'll make a pretty obvious block bet on the river. I'm just going to go ahead and bet 90 again. If I check, I don't want to face a value bet or a possible bluff, and I don't think that this guy will bluff raise me on the river. So it's really just a value bet, and we'll see what he had. He had ace-9. Okay. This hand is not good. If anyone raises anything, I'm not going to call, and I'm not going to re-raise and risk that many chips this early in the sit and go. I can understand an argument for calling 60 here in position. Both a call and fold are reasonable in my mind, so I'm just going to go ahead and call. And I miss the flop. Seminole might play at me if I bet, or this guy might. I'm not going to do it. It's just that simple. I am not going to put any money into the pot here. I don't care if I'm best. There's just no way to know, and so why bother mess around? We split. Okay, so now they check me. It's a really dangerous board. I think I either want to check here or make a strong bet, and I have to fold to a raise. I'm going to go ahead with a bet here, 150. Just hopefully take it down, and I get called. Alright, so now I have the button. This is the one time when I may make a loose raise. I have the button, but I'm scared and I don't like it. Okay, let's think about this hand here. So he raised it up pre-flop and I called on the button. And this flop comes and he check calls. I have a strong feeling here that he's either got he either flopped a straight or a really big hand, or he just has he's just speculating with a weak hand. And I don't think that many of these speculative hands have many outs. Like, if he had a flush draw, I'm sure he'd continuation bet the flop. Jacks is drawing thin against me. A lot of hands are. So I'm just going to make a